everybody. Today we are going to show you how to backfill a carving with clay after you've baked a piece. So I have a little piece of fuchsia clay here, and I'm going to add some of my Joan Tones glitter to the outside of it just to give it a little texture and sparkle. So I'm just going to roll this piece of clay that I've kneaded in the glitter a little bit and pick it up on the outside. Because it is opaque clay, there's no sense in really mixing it in because it's not going to show. So just roll the glitter onto the outside of your piece, and then I'm going to form this into kind of a cabochon with my fingers.
And don't forget, you can do this in any color you like, so don't be limited by the colors we choose. Just have fun with it, and you create your own colors if you want, or use something out of the package.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, I've got stray pieces of glitter, so I'm just picking them up with my finger and getting them stuck in the clay. And this glitter works well with the clay. It's a polyester glitter, so you can bake it and it'll keep its color, and it sticks into the clay because of the material it's made out of. So there's my little cabochon, and I've got a metal knitting needle that's got nice rounded edges, and I'm gonna just draw a design into the clay, and it doesn't have to be very deep. This project will involve probably some light sanding when I'm done to show the design, so we'll see. I'm gonna do a little flower. So I'm just gonna press the design into the clay. Not too deeply, but it's got to be deep enough that it can hold some clay in there when I'm done. When I bake it, I can come back. I'm going to fill these crevices with gold clay so that you see the design of the flower.
And you can use a stylus, you can use a bamboo skewer or a toothpick if you don't have a knitting needle, but they're pretty easy to find and real handy to have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
And they come in different sizes too, so I would play around with the sizes for sure of the knitting needles with different designs.
Yeah, I mean, this kind is really good for this project because it's small and it's round, and it works well to make this sort of pseudo carving look.
And if you're not good at freehanding or whatever, you could always, put some kind of pattern on there with maybe a stamp and then carve the stamp as well.
Or you could transfer onto the clay and then follow the design. Another thing you could do is like get a photocopy, and you can lay it over the clay and use your needle or tool to lightly draw the design onto the clay, and then take the paper off and keep going deeper.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of different ways you can get the design onto the clay. So now before I bake this, I'm just going to think about, is that all I want? No, I probably want some, let's make a little spirals, like tendrils on the sides to make the design look better. So because this is a unbaked piece of clay, I'm going to really think about the design before I bake it. Otherwise, you have to come back with a different tool to carve into baked clay. It's not so easy.
Yeah, it involves a little more work, which we're going to show on a different episode. So there's so many different techniques you can use, and get a totally different look with each one.
Over here, I'll do a leaf.
It's worth trying out the different techniques because you really get different looks.
So really what I'm doing is just creating channels to stick clay in later. So just make sure you've got it the way you want it. Here's a little close-up of that design that's carved into the clay, and I'm going to go bake this and then show you how to fill it. Alright, so here I'm back with my baked clay flower, and I'm going to fill these lines with gold. So what I'm going to do is make little snakes to start with and just kind of press them into my ridges here. And then it's pretty easy with my finger and my thumbnail, just scrape it off. Leaving clay only in the cracks that I carved out before. So press it in and then kind of peel it down to just the clay. So this is a process that takes a few minutes, so I'm going to work on it and I'll show you what it's done when it's all finished. Alright, so I have finished filling the flower and the little squigglies around the edges with the gold, and now I'm going to bake this again and come back with very light touch of sandpaper just to take it all back down to the same level, and then it'll be finished and ready to do something with, probably make it into a pendant or something. So you can see you can carve anything into a baked piece of clay, an initial, you could even lightly stamp and use like a rubber stamp design to make the beginnings of your own carving and then add to it. So there's lots of things you can do with this technique. Have fun.